I found this object labeled Chart Pack and made in USA. The flat white part twists to reveal numbers, and when the object is held upright, a silver piece pops out of the bottom. There are no visible moving parts connecting the two sections. Does anyone know what this is? What you found is a Chart Pack adjustable burnisher, a specialized tool used in graphic design during the pre-digital era to apply dry transfer lettering. These rub-on letters were once a standard in advertising, drafting, and publishing, and the burnisher helped ensure they transferred cleanly and evenly from the sheet to paper or board. This model features a rolling metal tip that's spring-loaded, allowing it to maintain consistent pressure as you rub over each letter or graphic. Twisting the white plastic end adjusts the internal tension, giving the user precise control, more pressure for bold fonts, lighter pressure for delicate ones. The wide, flat end is also a functional tool used to smooth and press down large areas or to reburnish finished transfers for better adhesion. Chart Pack introduced this burnisher in the 1970s alongside its Velvet Touch lettering line. If any of our viewers have used this tool before, we'd love to hear your experience in the comments. I found this in my grandpa's stuff. It's a 6-inch metal tool with a small hole at one end and a sliding piece connected to the Craftsman nameplate. Does anyone know what this was used for? What you found is a vintage Craftsman hand sight level, also known as a lock-type hand level. This compact optical tool combines a bubble level and a sighting lens to let users establish a horizontal line of sight across a distance. It was commonly used in the mid-20th century for rough leveling tasks, like checking ground slopes, aligning fence posts, or grading landscapes. The design goes back to an 1850 patent by John Locke, who first developed the style of handheld level for surveyors and geologists. Sears later offered this model under the Craftsman brand, making it accessible to farmers, builders, and homeowners. When you look through the eyepiece, you can see the landscape ahead while also viewing the reflection of the bubble inside. Once the bubble is centered on the internal reference line, your line of sight is level with your eye. The sliding piece near the nameplate adjusts the focus, and the small hole at the end lets in light to illuminate the bubble vial. I found this in a pen drawer, but I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a metal pen refill, but it has 2 evenly spaced recesses near the tip and no markings or branding anywhere on the body. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a center spindle from a vintage automatic record changer, used for stacking and playing multiple vinyl records in sequence. This removable spindle would be inserted in place of the standard short spindle on a turntable and allowed several LPs to be loaded at once. As each record finished playing, the spindle's internal mechanism would release the next one, allowing it to drop onto the platter automatically. Spindles like this were common on mid-20th century record players and stereo consoles made by manufacturers such as Gerard, Dual, and Admiral. I found this old metal box with a hinged lid while helping my dad remodel a house. Inside are a red and a white bulb, and there's a push button on the back that turns them on. The only marking is a 120-volt label next to the wiring, and the lid seems to have a second hinge in the middle, though it's too rusted to move. What you found is a mid-20th century contact printing lightbox, likely made by Ansco in the 1950s. It was used in home darkrooms to create photographic contact prints, positive images made by placing a film negative directly against photo paper and exposing them both to light. Inside the box is a built-in light source with 2 bulbs, typically a white bulb for exposure and a red one that served as a safe light during setup. The hinged lid held the negative and photographic paper tightly against the glass surface. Once the lid was closed and the light switched on, the image was exposed onto the paper through the negative. The resulting print was then developed using traditional darkroom chemicals. I found this old metal tool in the grass while mowing. It looks like some kind of small pickaxe, but I'm not sure what it was used for. Does anyone know what this is? What you found is a welder's chipping hammer, a hand tool used for removing slag that forms on top of certain types of welds. The pointed end is used to crack and break the slag layer, while the chisel-shaped end is used to chip it away and clean the weld bead beneath. This allows the welder to inspect the quality of the weld or apply another pass. The open loop at the bottom is part of a shock-absorbing spring handle, which helps reduce vibration and hand fatigue during repeated use. Chipping hammers like this one became standard equipment during the rise of arc welding in the early 20th century. They were especially important for stick welding and flux-cored arc welding, both of which leave behind a layer of brittle flux residue that must be removed. I had one of these as a kid, and now my kids have one too. Does anyone remember what this toy is called? This is a classic toy known as a Jacob's ladder. It consists of a series of connected wooden blocks that appear to cascade downward as you tilt it. The illusion is created by a clever ribbon arrangement that allows each block to flip over in sequence under its own weight. The Jacob's ladder has been around for centuries and was already popular by the mid-19th century. Victorian versions often featured printed images, and some even included bells to enhance the sound as the blocks flipped. The toy was sometimes called magic tablets or click-clack blocks, but the name Jacob's ladder comes from the biblical story of Jacob's dream of a ladder reaching to heaven. Because of this religious association, the toy was even allowed as a Sunday pastime in strict Puritan households. I found this wooden item in my great-uncle's garage. It folds flat and looks like it was meant to hold something, but I'm not sure what it was used for. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a folding gout stool designed to support an elevated leg. It folds flat for easy storage and was commonly used in the 19th and early 20th centuries as a therapeutic aid to reduce swelling and relieve pain. Gout is a form of inflammatory arthritis that causes sudden and intense pain, most often in the foot or ankle. Elevating the affected leg helps reduce pressure on the joint and improve circulation, easing the discomfort. This type of stool became popular in the Georgian era, when gout was associated with wealth and overindulgence. Early versions were often custom-made from fine wood and upholstery, and some featured adjustable or rocking designs. I found this small device that looks like a flash drive, but it's not recognized by a computer. It's about the size of a quarter and has a loop for a keychain. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a USB magnetic charger for the Blackburn Flea series of LED bike lights. The two metal contacts on the flat surface connect magnetically to a matching set on the flea light itself, delivering power from any USB port directly to the light's internal battery. The Blackburn Flea was launched in the late 2000s and was one of the first bike lights to use a magnetically attached USB charger. Blackburn even offered a solar charging option and a quirky AA battery adapter for topping it up on the go. I found this structure in Marquette, Michigan. It sits right over the water by the lake. Does anyone know what it was used for? What you found is an abandoned ore dock. These docks were a key part of the Great Lakes shipping network, especially during the 19th and early 20th centuries, when iron mining and steel production were at their peak. This particular example is located in Marquette, Michigan, which was home to the very first ore dock built on the Great Lakes in the 1850s. The structure you see is likely the Lower Harbor Ore Dock, built in 1931 and decommissioned in 1971. Ore docks like this worked by allowing trains to dump ore into large storage bins on top. When a ship pulled up alongside, chutes were lowered, allowing tons of ore to flow down into the cargo holds below. I saw this being transported past my workplace in downtown Norfolk, Virginia. The whole thing looked like a perfectly smooth gray sphere, about 12 feet in diameter, sitting on a flatbed trailer. It barely cleared the traffic light as it passed. Considering there are many military bases in the area, I wonder if it might be military related. What you saw is almost certainly a radome, a large, protective, weatherproof shell made from materials that are transparent to radio waves. Its purpose is to shield sensitive radar equipment from wind, weather, debris, ice, and other environmental factors that could interfere with performance. The spherical shape is one of the most common radome designs, especially for large, fixed radar installations or long-range tracking systems. This type of enclosure is engineered to allow the antenna inside to rotate or scan freely in any direction without obstruction. I found this small device at a thrift store. When I pull the handle, something inside winds up. The back says Conair, Japan, but I couldn't find any information online. Does anyone know what it is? This is a mechanical self-timer, commonly used with older cameras to delay the shutter release. These devices allowed photographers to include themselves in the photo or to reduce camera shake during long exposures. The mechanism works by winding an internal clockwork, which then unwinds over a set delay, usually between 5 and 10 seconds, and triggers the shutter at the end of that interval. A friend who runs an antique shop found this small hand tool, and we're not sure what it's for. It has a shaped wooden handle like old kitchen utensils, and 2 metal balls mounted at the top that spin freely. Could it have been used for something like pastry or leather work? The tool you found is a classic razor blade stropper, a type of vintage razor blade sharpener patented on September 25, 1923 by Ralph Bird and sold by the Ace Hardware Manufacturing Company in the early 20th century. It was designed to resharpen double-edged safety razor blades by drawing the blade between 2 stropping rollers to polish and realign the edge so it could be reused. In its day, this kind of razor blade stropper was marketed as a money-saving accessory for the home, especially during the 1920s and 1930s when disposable blades were still relatively costly and many consumers preferred to maximize their life. We found this object in our backyard in a hole the dogs had been digging just after it rained. We live near a canal, but the water has never gone over the wall. It was about 2 steps from our pool cage. AA battery for scale. Does anyone know what it is? What you found appears to be a megalodon tooth, or at least a replica of one. The shape, size, and triangular profile all closely resemble the fossilized teeth of the prehistoric shark Otodus megalodon, one of the largest predators to ever inhabit Earth's oceans. These teeth can range from 3 to over 7 inches long. Megalodon lived roughly 23 to 3.6 million years ago and is believed to have grown up to 50-60 feet in length. Its teeth are often the only parts that fossilize, since the rest of a shark's skeleton is made of cartilage. These fossils are commonly found in coastal areas like Florida, the Carolinas, and other parts of the eastern United States. I found this unusual contraption at a garage sale in Texas. It's made from bicycle parts, including a full frame and 2 wheel rims, along with several brass wind instruments mounted underneath. It looks really cool, but I have no idea what it's supposed to do. Does anyone know what this is? What you found is a sculptural musical instrument called the lo-fi cycle, created by artist and composer Steve Parker as part of Austin's Art in Public Places program. The concept behind it is to transform familiar mechanical parts into musical tools, inviting passers-by to experiment with sound in unexpected ways. The bike's wheels are modified in a style inspired by composer John Cage's prepared piano technique. Various metal objects are attached to the spokes and rims, so when the wheels spin, they strike, rattle, or scrape to create percussive sounds. Some spokes are replaced with guitar or bass strings, which produce pitched tones as they vibrate. Brass horns of different sizes are mounted underneath, and when their rubber bulbs are squeezed, they emit honks and squeaks at different pitches. The result is a whimsical mix of mechanical noise and acoustic music. In the last video, I asked you to guess what this metal object with a wooden handle might be used for. Everyone had great guesses, and many of you got it right. This item is used to hold barbecue grill lids open while cooking food, allowing better airflow and temperature control during grilling. Thank you to everyone who participated and shared your guesses. A special shout out to Robert Redland for being the first to correctly identify it. All right, it's time for another mystery item. Take a look at this strange plastic object. What do you think it might be used for? Leave your guesses in the comments, and I'll reveal the answer in the next video. I'd like to give a special thank you to all my channel members. Your support truly helps this channel grow. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Your support motivates me to create more videos. See you next time.